From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm John Kennedy. MPs and senators reviewing Ottawa's use of the Emergencies Act during the Freedom Convoy occupation of Ottawa will soon resume drafting a report that was due in December 2022. The work has been delayed because of the committee requiring all translated documents from the public inquiry. The translation work would have taken years and cost millions of dollars, so members have instead opted to receive an index of the files, which is hundreds of pages long. A new deadline has yet to be established. Models in specifically designed red dresses are making a powerful fashion statement about missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people ahead of Red Dress Day.
The models are taking to the runway in the Revolution's Red Dress Fashion Festival in Kamloops, BC. Organizer Kim Coltman says the 8 designers taking part have created items to honor Red Dress Day. That's the National Day of Awareness of Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, observed annually on May 5th. The day was inspired by Métis artist Jamie Black's installation project, with red dresses hung in public spaces throughout Canada and the United States as a reminder of Indigenous women who have been killed or are missing. Jason White, The Canadian Press.
The first cruise ship of the season to dock in Montreal is a vessel from the Netherlands that has a special connection to the Russia-Ukraine war. Rens van Eriten, captain of Holland America's Volendam, says the ship sheltered 1,500 Ukrainian refugees for 6 months in April after Ukraine was invaded by Russia.
We docked in the port of Rotterdam. The port of Rotterdam made a dock available. And then the refugees came all the time with buses. They stayed, there was a lot of children. And we hosted them, looked after them, and make sure that they can have a relatively normal life at that time.
The Volendam cruise ship is now back to ferrying vacationers, and Montreal's Port Authority held a ceremony to celebrate its arrival. Some anti-war protests ruffled the University of Michigan's graduation ceremony, with protesters chanting anti-war messages and waving Palestinian flags. U.S. Navy Secretary Carlos Del Toro asked the graduates and guests to allow him to continue his remarks after he was interrupted by the pro-Palestinian protesters.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you could please draw your attention back to the podium. I am extremely proud as a Cuban American who came to this country as an immigrant and who also chose to serve for 26 years in uniform to again protect the liberties of all Americans to protest peacefully in this country.
There were no arrests reported, and the protest, comprised of about 50 people, moved on. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Toronto Maple Leafs are in Boston for the 7th and deciding game of the opening round playoff series with the Bruins. Center Austin Matthews' availability remains uncertain due to illness. Toronto has won the last 2 games without Matthews. The Vancouver Canucks are off to the second round of the NHL playoff series after Artur Silovs stopped 28 shots in leading Vancouver past the Nashville Predators 1-0, winning the series in 6 games. The Canucks will move on to face the Edmonton Oilers. Kevin Gausman of the Toronto Blue Jays will take the mound as they continue their series with the Washington Nationals. Toronto has dropped 3 straight, including last night's opener 9-3. Jake Irvin gets the start for the Nationals. Canadian Taylor Pendrith has ground to make up heading to the PGA Tour's Byron Nelson event. The golfer from Richmond Hill, Ontario, entered the action in a 4-way tie for 5th at 11 under par. Jake Knapp has the overall lead at 14 under. From the Canadian Press, I'm John Kennedy.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.